How's it going, everyone? Got a lot of PlayStation news and updates to go over in this video. We have a brand new PlayStation 5 RPG getting its gameplay revealed. Looks pretty good. We'll talk about that. Speaking of RPGs, you guys know 2024 is going to be colossal, gigantic for JRPGs, and one that's coming out later in 24, fall of that year, Metaphor Refantazio, has gotten a bunch of new details. We'll talk all about that, as that is going to be a big fantasy RPG. More on that in a little bit. Metal Gear Solid, the Master Collection, gets its latest patch on PC. It will be coming to consoles in early 24. And we have an update on Bloober Team, a studio that is staying incredibly busy. We'll talk that at the end of this video. But first of all, Project Cloud Games developed action RPG The Relic: The First Guardian is scheduled to launch on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, and PC in early 2025. And on top of that, it just got its first gameplay reveal. From a technical standpoint, the game looks quite impressive. Obviously, given that it is coming in 2025, it's going to be somewhat further along. Early 2025 really isn't that far away anymore. That's a year away, given that, games usually go gold 6 to 8 weeks before release. But a year of development time is still going to be time to get a lot of things done, of course. But game looks stylish as all hell. Looks like a challenging Souls-like title. And let's go over the details that were dropped by Perp Games, noting in this action RPG, you embark on a heroic adventure to save the world in the dark as the last guardian. The once prosperous Arceus was swallowed up by the void created by the destruction of the Great Relic and transformed into the Land of Death. Now your mission is to find the pieces of the broken Great Relic and close the void. The game provides in-depth gameplay with a thrilling battle and a variety of rune settings. Grow your character with various skills and your own settings, and explore the collapsed world while following an exciting story. You need to solve the riddle, gather the pieces of the Great Relic, and lead the world back to prosperity. You are the last hope. Start your journey as a guardian, gather pieces of the Great Relic, and close the void. Your adventure will bring the world into a new era. Looks like a darker, grim RPG, but looks pretty damn good from a technical and gameplay standpoint. We'll see how that ultimately develops into the final product. Obviously, like these Souls-like action RPGs, they are very much abundant. Action RPGs in general these days are in abundance, but it's always going to be a genre that does fairly well. Like, if you look at Lies of P, crushed it from all accounts, and even Lords of the Fallen, I believe that game is about to, it already has broke even. So, and that game had a lot of issues at launch, and that game even did well. So action RPGs these days are seemingly in, and obviously, in the case of Lords of the Fallen, breaking even is fine, but you look at some of the goals from the publisher, breaking even is not good enough, of course, in a lot of regards. So, Lords of the Fallen, I still think, break even is very, very successful, and that it's going to continue to generate revenue. That's going to be a pretty positive on that, and something like this, if it turns out well, it could be a potential big title as well. This is going to be next-gen only, of course. Look, we're talking early 2025. I know it's wild to think about, but let's move to early 25. At that point, we should be completely done with cross-gen games. If EA is down bad and they want to make sports games cross-gen, knock yourself out. But for the majority of, major single-player titles, and even multiplayer games at that point, they should be totally next-gen. At that point, we would be 4.5 years into the current generation. By that point, alright guys, PS5s, Xbox Series, they're readily available. No more PS4 titles, please. That's just gonna handicap games going forward if they gotta develop for PS4 as well. But yeah, that is scheduled for early 25. When a release window is that far out, take it with a grain of salt for now, but will be interesting to continue to follow that. Moving on from that, Metaphor Refantazio. Further details, concept, world, tribes, story, and characters. More information and screenshots on Atlus's big fantasy RPG have dropped. It also has been confirmed for PS5, PS4, and, initially it had that Xbox Series and PC timed announcement. Whatever the deal with that is, but new details have dropped. So first of all, what is Metaphor? The creative team behind Persona 5, with over 6.4 million copies sold worldwide, an all-new fantasy RPG from a team of creators with an award-winning track record. Director is Katsura Hashino of SMT3 Nocturne, Persona 3, 4, and 5. Character designer is Shigenori Sojima. of P3, 4, and 5, and then you have the composer and Shoji Meguro, SMT3 Nocturne, Persona 3, 4, and 5. We have a brand new artist and design dropping as well. Story background: a mysterious and exciting story unfolds in a world where people must fight their own anxiety. Join Atlas on an immersive journey that promises hours of captivating exploration and discovery. Unique character design populates a vast, beautiful world against a fantastical backdrop. The stylish UI inspired by Western paintings creates unique and fun interactions. The sound design, based on an interpretation of various religious music, combines orchestra, folk music, chorus in a style players have never experienced. A lot of party designs and things like that. I think it's got super slick menu designs. Really dig that, and just aesthetically very, very pleasing. You've got a unique battle system as well that seamlessly combines real-time action and turn-based commands. Players will find exhilaration and strategy at every turn. Party customization through archetypes provides players the freedom to personalize their adventure. In an evolution of the Persona series calendar system, you'll embark on a journey to change the world in your party's gauntlet runner, bringing the sensation of travel to life. They show how the transitions work and a world where fear and anxiety is visualized, tackling some interesting themes where fantasy meets reality. The story takes place in a nation consisting of 3 countries populated by 8 tribes. It is a world of fantasy, but those living in this fantasy world naturally have their own fantasies. In this world, there is only one tribe. All people accept each other, and no soul is born into discrimination. In such a world, there is no need for sorcery. A megapolis is built through learning and labor, tower of glass that reaches the heavens, safe nights with no dark shadows, busy streets well traveled, and in the laws of these emotionally satisfied people, it reads all lives are equal. Fantasy envisioned by the people living in a fantasy world, dreaming of a world not so unlike your own, but both the player and the world's inhabitants think of each other's worlds as impossible. More stories, but is it truly impossible? Anxiety, a simple concept and yet a complex emotion that the game will explore. They keep going back to that anxiety element to the game, which will be, I'm sure, a crucial thematic to the game. Only those who face their fear and anxiety have the power to awaken. Magic is a general term for the phenomenon that consumes magical power and causes effects that defy the laws of nature. However, the inhabitants are unable to use magic of their own. Magic requires a special tool called the Igniter, the possession and use of which requires a license. The protagonist and his friends awaken and begin to master magical powers that defy this convention and need for igniters. An archetype is a primordial secret power that awakens by facing your fear and anxiety. Put another way, it is the awakening of the nature of a hero that lies dormant in the people's hearts. You've got the 8 tribes that are detailed as well. All of these tribes are broken down. I'm not going to go through all of them, but they all have their own in-depth explanation and a lot more details in terms of the enemies you're going to fight and the story setting. A world unlike our own where 8 different tribes live in discord. Founded by a hero king and eventually annexing its neighboring countries, Eurocania has been long governed by a strong royal family that inherited powerful magic. However, over the years, the kingdom has gradually fallen into corruption and is today torn apart by inequality and discrimination. Its virtue in tatters. The kingdom's vast land is now infested with dangerous beasts and mysteries monsters called humans. To venture outside the city is to risk one's very life. They also go over details over the prologue and a lot of information dropping as well. An introduction to the game's story as well. I won't go over everything. I'll leave a link in the description box below if you want all of the information, but I do want to give you guys some information on the main character. It's just noted to be the protagonist together with the fairy Galicia. He embarks on a journey to lift the deadly curse placed on his childhood friend. He is a boy of the Elder tribe, branded attainted by the people and by the state religion who believe the Elder have inherited dangerous and heretical magic. Being so rare among the populace, they are detested and discriminated against throughout the kingdom. They go over a bunch of the different allies available as well. This is a significant info drop for Metaphor Refantazio, and while this is going to be a game deeper into 2024, and whenever a game is scheduled for like fall of the following year, I'm always a little bit skeptical on whether or not it's actually going to meet that fall window. Let's be optimistic for once and say, hey, it'll hit fall, but if it gets delayed into 2025, I wouldn't be all too surprised, given that Atlas next year, they already have P3 Reload on the release schedule, and if they drop Metaphor Refantazio as well that year, that would be a juggernaut year for them and JRPGs as a whole. We've talked about it over and over again, but To quickly go over the lineup right off the top of my head, early 24 is crazy with Like a Dragon Infinite Well, P3R, Grand Blue Fantasy Rolling, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and then Unicorn Overlord as well, which is the one that's getting a little bit lost in the shuffle. Throw in the latter portion of the year with Metaphor Refantazio. Just with those 6 games that I mentioned off the top, that is much better than previous years have been collectively, and that's just off the top of my head, and 5 of those games come out in like a 2-month span, so just insanity when you talk about major JRPG releases. It's going to be one of the best years for JRPGs ever, and I am very confident in saying that. But yeah, a lot of details on that, and more information can be found in the description box below. A couple more things before we round out this video. Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1 version 1.40 update is now available for PC, coming to consoles in early January of 2024. They note a bunch of new features, added a new screen setting feature, added the following features. The settings for each of these features can be changed both before and during gameplay, which is good. Smoothing can be turned off and on. Settings screen during play smoothing, they showcase the imagery, and they also have the, differences before and after. And smoothing, I think, looks pretty damn good when turned on. Game screen settings, you can now be set to standard, pixel perfect, or 16:9. The Steam version also features a full screen feature, can be set to a total of 4 different settings. So a bunch of screen setting updates have been added to MGS, the Master Collection, and a lot of fixes and nuances and changes been updated with that. Really, these updates should have been available with the launch of MGS Master Collection, but what can you do? We can't have nice things all the time, but nonetheless, that's available now on PC. Will be coming to consoles in early January. And lastly, Bloober Team. These guys are getting busy and really expanding in terms of all the stuff that they've got in the works. So they are the studio that brought you Observer. They did Layers of Fear. They did Blair Witch, The Medium back in 2021. They did the Layers of Fear remake. Of course, they're working on Silent Hill 2. And now they are also working on a new game based on Skybound Entertainment IP. What that is, nobody knows, but it is codenamed R and expected to launch in 2025. The project is another step in our second-party strategy where we work with external partners to provide our horror know-how. These titles that are meant to not only give us financial profit, but are the next steps in achieving our strategy by the end of 2027. We have known our friends from Skybound for a long time, and I'm sure it will be a successful cooperation. Given that it's coming out in 2025, fairly quick turnaround, I would imagine fall of 25 is the tentative window that they're targeting, given that it's just announced now, but it will be interesting what that game ultimately turns out to be. And Bloober Team is here to stay, and I think they're going to be one studio that is going to have a lot of eyes on them in the next year and a half, especially if they do a killer job with Silent Hill 2. That'll absolutely take them to the next level in terms of a world-renowned studio, so be on the lookout for them. They're quietly building their name as well. But that'll do it for me. Again, the Relic, the First Guardian, gets its gameplay reveal coming in early 2025. Metaphor Refantazio adds to the stacked lineup of JRPGs coming fall of 2024. A ton of new details as a part of that. MGS Master Collection Volume 1 version 1.4.0 update is dropped on PC. Will be coming early January on consoles. And Bloober Team, man, they're staying busy. One of those studios you gotta keep an eye on, especially if you're into horror games, of course. They are really building up their name with Silent Hill 2, the remake, scheduled for 24. They're working on another game based on a Skybound IP that is scheduled for 25. That's gonna do it for me. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.